This week, we see the sights of Budapest, take the waters at a famous spa, visit a ruin bar, and play some pinball. We're at Prague station. I've got no idea what's going on. We do find the correct train though, and head off on a 6.5-hour journey towards Hungary. Today, we are travelling 500 kilometres south to Budapest. And despite the late start, it isn't long before we grind to a halt again.
Well, we've been going for about an hour. We're half an hour late already, but we're now having to wait while they change one of the carriages, which appears to have broken. So we're probably going to get there about midnight. It's just as well we brought so much food with us.
They quickly swap out the carriages, and soon we're up and running again and on our way. We've got plenty of time to watch a few of our favourite travel vlogs and even catch 40 winks. Until the nice waiter stops by with a bottle of cider. We pass into Slovakia, and after a short stop at Bratislava, we order some lunch.
My first goulash.
And I have a lovely gnocchi dish. Our compliments to the chef. Well, that was most definitely the nicest meal we've ever had on a train. And now we're hungry. In Hungary, not feeling hungry. And an hour later than scheduled, we arrive into Budapest, Nugati station. Next morning, we're up fresh and ready to look around the city. Today, we're in the beautiful Hungarian capital, Budapest. But it hasn't always been so beautiful, and the House of Terror Museum highlights many of the atrocities from past conflicts. And along the riverbank, we find the memorial to those thousands killed by the arrow-crossed troops shot into the river. And after a somewhat sombre start to the day, it's time for some lunch. We stop at one of the many hummus bars across the city, and on the menu today is hummus. Time for a boat trip out on the blue Danube. We take a sunset cruise along the river and enjoy a complimentary drink. We pass by many of the main landmarks and under the Chain Bridge, passing the Parliament building and around Margret Island. By the time we get round the island, the sun has set and Budapest is beautifully lit up with the Parliament building and Buda Castle looking amazing against the night sky. And the Chain Bridge looks truly beautiful. Today, we plan to head to Margret Island, but first, we're stopping off at a museum, and there's not a broken pot in sight. This is the Flipper Museum, and we arrive at 11 in the morning. The museum has pin tables dating back to 1947, including the original pinball machine with flippers, Humpty Dumpty, along with others from that era, and many more old mechanical pin tables too, right up to the most modern games based on recent films and TV shows. Chris is really getting into this one. There are over 130 machines here of all shapes and sizes, and all playable. Time just fritters away. I find some fantastic bowling machines. I can't believe the technology of this thing, and this whole place is just amazing. Now this is a real pinball machine. I really love these old mechanical pin tables. In fact, I used to have one. But it's easy to get carried away. Oops. I can remember many of these machines from my youth. And there are also some classic video games too. Now that takes us back. All the makes are here, but the most unusual machine of the day has to go to the Orbiter 1 from Stern. This anti-gravity machine throws the ball all over the place, and you have no idea where it's going next, even after it goes out of play. And before we know it, it's closing time, and I guess Margret Island will have to wait for another day. But we haven't had so much fun in ages. Time for a well-earned dinner at Kosmosz, a vegan restaurant. I try the goulash and some traditional dishes made with seitan. Then we head to a ruin bar. Szimpla Kert is the largest and most well-known of the ruin bars. Originally set up in derelict buildings as a cheap place for students to come and drink, the ruin bars have now become as popular a tourist attraction as many of the major landmarks.
We're in the big ruin bar tonight, Szimpla Kert.
Cheers! The eclectic mix of furnishings and art across the different bars and rooms creates an amazing atmosphere and vibe against the backdrop of decaying buildings and the sound of Hungarian music and dance. A few doors away is a street food market in another derelict plot. Next day,
Today we've come to the Széchenyi Baths, the largest spa in Budapest. There are 18 pools here fed by hot natural spring water.
the thermally heated waters range from a cool 18 degrees to a lovely hot 40 plus, with natural minerals that are said to have healing powers. Each pool is different, with cooler water for swimming, pools at body temperature, to hotter, relaxing pools. Chris makes us do some water aerobics, although I'm sure he's thinking about a nice cold beer. And it just so happens that upstairs you can bathe in a beer spa, and drink it, of course. But today we are sticking with the waters. There's the most amazing whirlpool that carries you around and around. In fact, it's hard to get away, and we were stuck in there for hours. And with that, it's time to call it a day.
Well, that was a nice day out at Széchenyi Baths. We spent 8 hours taking the waters and even did a Vulcan sauna. Tomorrow we're going to Buda Castle.
We cross the Chain Bridge where there is a funicular to carry you up the hill to the castle. But today we're walking up. It's a great view of the bridge from here. We take a look around the castle grounds until we discover cake. The fluffies do like their tea and cake, and so does Chris for that matter. From the castle, we walk along to the Fisherman's Bastion and take in the views of Pest. We wander around for an hour or so, taking in the sights, before heading back down the hill to finally stop off at Margret Island. Could have just come by skateboard.
Grand.
And of course, we had to visit the Grand Budapest Hotel.
We finally made it to Margret Island today.
Our next stop is Hero Square, and then on to the city park.
Second castle today. Seen one castle, seen them all, I suppose.
And after all that sightseeing, it's time for a nice spicy Thai meal. But do be careful.
Don't scratch your eye if you've picked up a load of chilies.
Today, Chris is taking the fluffies out for tea to a rather special café. They feel right at home here. I hope they don't decide to stay. It's our last day and we head out to the Grand Market, full of all sorts of goods and food and things to take home. We buy some Hungarian paprika. One thing that we've seen all over the place this trip are bottles of Unicum. We've no idea what it is. So later that evening, when we go to a bar, we decide to find out more about Unicum.
(1790) is when Unicum was started up, right on the Danube, super close to here actually. The recipe stayed exactly the same for the original one. It used to be medicine, as you can see from the red cross. This one has a real heavy clove, spice kind of flavour. It's similar to Jägermeister or Fenerbranca. It's Italian aperitif. It's a good winter warmer. It's delicious stuff.
It's an unusual taste, a little like cough mixture, but with a bouquet of fresh herbs as an aftertaste. We've been staying in a B&B, and it's quite nice inside. Outside, it's a bit more shabby, even a bit decrepit. And if it were anywhere other than Budapest, I might have a problem with that. But here it seems to fit right in, with all the old buildings and ruin bars. But the ruins may be a little too close for comfort, and at 8 AM in the morning,
this is our Airbnb, and they really are demolishing it around us.
it seems like a good time to make a hasty exit, so we jump on the train to Vienna. So don't forget to subscribe and join us for our next adventure.